Joining me now, Alan Dershowitz, Professor Emeritus, Harvard Law School, and also with us today, Jumaane Williams, New York City Council member and Bernie Sanders supporter. Gentlemen, great to see both of you.
Nice to see you. Good.
First to you, we wanted to talk to you, Professor, because of what you wrote, this op-ed saying the Democratic Party should beware of Bernie Sanders supporters, and specifically groups like Black Lives Matter, Occupy Wall Street, and Move On. You write, quote, they're at war with certain core liberal values, particularly as regards to free speech. Explain.
Well, first of all, I love the protests, throwing dollar bills. That's a legitimate form of protest, of course. Anything that's peaceful. What I don't like are those elements within these organizations, not the organizations themselves. I support Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
But there are some within each of these hard left organizations that want to stop other people from speaking. They interrupt Donald Trump. I don't necessarily like what Donald Trump has to say, but he has a right to say it.
Yeah.
They interrupt Bill Clinton. They've interrupted speakers on university campuses, and I just want Bernie Sanders to disassociate himself with those elements within his supporters who want to shut other people down.
Do you think Bernie Sanders should do that? Take the professor's advice.
Oh, no, I think the party should be aware. I don't know about be aware, but they should be aware because this is the voice that people need to hear right now. And there's a reason that Sanders has caught on fire because this voice was missing. Generally, people begin to oppose protests at the time, but then revel in the benefit of the protest after. And so most of the changes that we've seen, they haven't come quietly. They have had to have had interruptions and disruptions for people's voice to be heard.
But can we agree that protests are fine, but stopping other people from expressing different views is not consistent with Democratic Party values?
Even if you don't agree with that
Even
person.
if you don't agree, even if you think they're terrible views, don't they have a right to express them? Do you think disruption is
so
part
they have
of
a right to
democracy?
express them, depending what it is. I think you have a right to try to attempt to prevent them from expressing a hateful view. I think both of those things go hand in hand. So saying you have the freedom to do one and not the other.
So you're disagreeing with
sure.
one another.
We disagree. I don't think
Sure.
you have a right to stop them, even if they say hateful things. You have a right to answer them.
Well, so this is the basis of what civil disobedience is. It is to disrupt. In exchange for that, you may get arrested. And so that is a price that you may have to pay to disrupt and interrupt. And I think that is the course of what our history has shown us works in this country.
That's an interesting point. And I think civil disobedience has a role, for example, in sitting in on lunch counters. But civil disobedience has no role in trying to shut other people down and trying to stop other people from expressing
When you have
themselves.
someone like Trump or Cruz on the Republican side, who all they're doing is spewing hate, and people who have been
That's not fair.
suffering
That's not all they're doing.
for that's what I think
Or
they've
some
been
would
doing.
say
Well, then
all.
answer them.
Sure.
Answer them. Come on TV
Sure.
and answer
So
them, but
what
don't
you
shut
want to
them
do
down.
is go in there and make sure that your voice is heard as loudly as possible. So
You can't have your voice heard at their event. You have your own event. But at their event, you should be allowed to boo or throw dollars, but not prevent them from speaking. I just want the Democratic Party to support everybody's right to speak. And I want to hear Bernie Sanders say, I don't support people who disrupt and stop others from speaking.
I do support everyone's right to speak. I actually prefer engaging with people that I disagree with, but I do support people's right to disrupt and interrupt when we want to make progress in this country.
Well, how about people who interrupt you then, and disrupt you and try to stop you from expressing
Sure,
your
I take
views?
the time to either talk with them. I usually
But if
engage
they
with,
won't let you
I
talk?
usually engage with them, and however, if they have to be removed, that does happen. That is the price that you pay to get that part of the protest in, and I understand both sides of that.
Okay, look, I understand, but I just think the Democratic Party and Bernie Sanders ought to come out clearly in favor of everybody's right to speak and everybody else's right to respond.
And protest. And so
Protests
I think
are fine.
we would be better at embracing this fire that has caught on in the Democratic Party because my hope and my belief is it's not going to go away. There's a reason why he caught fire at this moment in time, at this juncture in history.
Well, we'll see if the fire spreads, or we'll see if tomorrow a fire extinguisher in the form of New York voters come out and support Hillary Clinton, which is what I'd like to see.
I don't know if that'll be a fire extinguisher. I understand where she is at this point in time, but I do understand that they definitely would have liked to have a wider lead than they are now, and the fact that they don't have it is because of that fire.
Let me jump in, and you're making my job easy because this is a fascinating conversation. I'm just sort of sitting back here, but these folks, many of them are truly feeling the burn. And Hillary Clinton, if she ultimately clinches that nomination, she needs them. And I mean, it was interesting listening. I was sitting on a New Day today, and Chris Cuomo was talking to Bernie Sanders and asking, "Have you ever thought about that moment? How would you try to tell the folks who so forcefully, support you.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if I heard an answer.
The interesting thing is that Bernie Sanders will be much more influential if he loses the nomination than if he wins it. If he wins the nomination, he's going to end up winning 2 states like Michael Dukakis, and his whole policy will be thrown in the garbage pail. If he loses the nomination, but it's close, he will have influence within the Democratic
He will have
Party.
tremendous influence, and he was saying that Hillary Clinton will have to speak to those people. He was sort of saying, at least I feel like she's moved farther left because of my presence in this race.
That's 100%
Obviously, he wants to win.
That is a factual thing. There are conversations going on now that would not have happened if Bernie Sanders wasn't in the race. I think the thing that we may both agree on is whomever wins, we have to come behind fully and 100%. They're better than any of the candidates that are on the Republican side.
I agree, but I do think if Bernie Sanders wins and then loses the election the way McGovern and Dukakis lost the election, it will actually weaken the left part of the Democratic Party for years to come.
That will be something to watch. We're not there yet. Jumaane and Alan Dershowitz, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a good conversation.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.